Hello you guys, and welcome to Abundantly Minimal. My name is Sarah, and in today's video, I'm super excited to share some strategies to help you prevent food waste. As I'm sure you know, food waste is a huge issue, both at the global level with just how our food system works, as well as the individual level. Now, this has a variety of different impacts. Obviously, from the personal side of things, if we are having food waste in our own lives, that leads to financial loss. Not only is it a tragedy that food goes to waste when so many people globally are hungry and don't have the food to eat that they need, as well as environmentally, it's huge issues as well. So with this video, I'm hoping to help you prevent food waste and also be able to kind of simplify your eating in some ways too, while also providing some minimal food hacks. Let's begin. My first hack to reduce food waste and also just save some money as a whole is to only buy things when you've used up the food that you have. This one has been a big struggle for Jake and I in the past because, as I've mentioned before, I love cooking, I love food shopping, it's really fun for me, and it's very easy to, when you're shopping, purchase additional items that you don't actually need. And, it might start out with good intentions like, the fridge is still pretty stocked or the pantry has plenty of items. I just need almond milk. I just need bread. I just need bananas. And then before you know it, you bought a lot more than those essential items. If we challenge ourselves to avoid shopping until we really are low on supplies, that is a great way to kind of like reset our fridge, pantry, freezer, and prevent some of these extra things from cluttering up our spaces. When we've got too much food in the fridge, pantry, wherever, you're not going to eat everything in a timely fashion. Or maybe you are, but it's a lot tougher to do so since there's just so much there. If we can avoid this extra shopping until we've really worked through things, that's going to be a big positive. Now, I will say one of the biggest struggles with this for me has been produce, because many items you can purchase long in advance. And let's say it's like our bulk jar section or certain freezer items, they'll be good for a long time. But fresh produce doesn't last as long, and so it was oftentimes fresh produce that was leading us to need to go to the grocery store. Now, there are definitely better places to purchase your produce than the grocery store, whether it's with farmers market or CSA boxes, that kind of thing. But if I'm being completely honest, this has been a struggle for me just because, at least in the 3 nearby towns where we live, all of their farmers markets happen on Wednesday and Thursday mornings, and as a teacher, pretty much means I can never go. However, one thing that I was really excited about was that I recently discovered the company Imperfect Produce. This video is not sponsored at all. I was really excited about this genuinely, and I wanted to pass that on in case others of you have been looking for something similar. But they actually take produce that's grown in a variety of places, but that technically would not be good enough for grocery store shelves, or maybe it's surplus. For whatever reason, they can't sell it. Maybe the items are too small. There's just too many, like I said. Maybe there are minor marks or wear that prevent it from being good enough for grocery store shelves, but it doesn't mean that the produce is bad in any way. What I love about it is that you're able to get this produce at a cheaper rate than if you were purchasing it directly at the store, and you know that you're helping to reduce waste, which is awesome. But for me, it's also awesome because I can get the produce delivered to me, and then I don't have to go to the store and accidentally buy too much just because I need produce. The second tip is to buy what you will actually eat. Oftentimes, our ideal self is trying to tell us, buy more of this thing when you're at the grocery store, and you might not actually like it. You might not actually end up eating it, and then it gets thrown away. Be realistic. Know what you actually eat, or if you are going to try something new, make sure you already have a recipe in mind so you're not going to waste that item. Also, choose the correct portion of items that you need. Well, it definitely can be more affordable to purchase a larger size pack, and then, the cost per ounce or whatever it is cheaper. If you buy more than you need, it's ultimately a waste because if you're not eating all of that, then some of the money is going to get thrown away. Jake and I were always bad about this with potatoes. We would buy the big bag, that's like 5-pound bag, because it was the cheapest, but we just didn't really go through them that often. Currently, if I am purchasing potatoes, which I am just getting a couple from the Imperfect boxes recently, but I like to buy them in smaller quantities, such as 2 of them, for instance, will come with the Imperfect boxes, and I'll know, okay, we're going to have like a baked potato Thursday night this week, and we're going to make these then. That personally makes it easier for me to prevent food waste. My third hack is to organize your fridge or freezer in a way that's going to allow you to use up what you need to first. It can be really helpful to have a shelf such as the Eat This First shelf, where you put items that you need to eat first because they're going to go bad soonest. Maybe you purchase a certain item such as fresh berries, which don't tend to have as long of a shelf life. You don't want to forget about those and then have them get a little bit moldy or gross. You also might want to put leftovers there because I know that unfortunately more times than I'd like to admit, my past self would have some sort of random leftovers get pushed to the back of the fridge, and then you only realize it when you're doing your monthly fridge clean out or whatever and you're like, ugh, what was this? And obviously you didn't eat it in time. So trying to have a good system at play will help, as well as pay attention to how certain foods should be best stored. Since we've been using our crisper drawers in our fridge, it's been able to help us keep some of our produce fresh for a lot longer, which is nice because you know that stuff's not going to go bad as quickly as if it was in other areas. Also, using your freezer strategically is going to help you prevent food waste because, for instance, let's say there are leftovers for a certain item and I know I'm not going to want to eat them over the next couple days. If I freeze it, then it becomes kind of like an instant meal for later on that I can either microwave or bake or whatever. This can also be a great way to meal prep certain items for future use. I know personally I haven't done tons of meal prep yet. I don't like meal prep for the whole week, but this is a really easy strategy. If you cook double of what you need one night and then put the rest in the freezer, you have that easily accessible for future use. Strategy number 4 is to have some go-to recipes you like to use up whatever extra food that you have that might go bad. And this can be really helpful to do on a weekly basis. A few of my go-to recipes include smoothies. If you've got random fruits that need to be used up, you can often put them in there, as well as if there's extra like non-dairy milks or anything like that. I think pasta can be a really great option because you can have a variety of different veggies and things that go in the sauce that might be going bad, and it can be really delicious, as well as of course like a certain salad. Even like leftover containers of hummus can be thinned out to be a dressing last minute if something's about to go bad. You can also incorporate your leftovers sometimes in a salad, depending on what it is, like putting it on a bed of greens. And then also a stir fry is a really great option to kind of cook everything up, find some sort of yummy sauce, and you're good to go. So having those go-to recipes can really help with reducing food waste too. My final tip to prevent food waste, more so from the environmental end, is to consider composting. Unfortunately, a lot of the food scraps we throw away end up in landfills. They release methane and other gases, and overall it's just not a good thing for the planet. So composting can be a really helpful option. Now, personally, as someone who's lived in small spaces and not had like my own yard to really be doing much of that, I found the easier option was to have a worm bin. About weekly, I'll put in some different produce scraps into the bin. Now, we don't have an elaborate setup, and I find the number of worms and the size of the worm bin that we have doesn't mean that they can go through too much, but I would say they go through about 1 pound of produce scraps each week, and that definitely does add up over time. So whether it's things like banana peels, kale stems, apple cores, or any other selection of produce that I was cutting up that week, it's definitely really been a positive thing to reduce our waste a little bit. As well as then you've got nice compost to work with, and I'm going to be working on expanding like an herb garden in our kitchen. So I look forward to using that later on this spring as I work on getting that together. One more time, I just want to give a shout out to Imperfect Produce. Again, this is not sponsored at all, but I am hopeful that if they are in your area and maybe you've been looking for something like that, a specific way to get access to produce that would otherwise be thrown away, I think it's just a really cool message that they have. Just to show you a little bit how it works, you decide how often you'd like to receive produce. Personally, Jake and I receive the medium-sized box every 2 weeks, and it usually comes with around 13 pounds of produce, which we then eat up during those 2 weeks, and it's not a problem. Personally, I also do choose the organic box, even though sometimes I add a couple conventional items in. But this definitely encourages me to consume more organic produce, since I know sometimes with regular prices at the store, unfortunately, sometimes the organic produce is a bit more expensive and I'm maybe not as likely to make that shift. Now, unfortunately, they aren't everywhere yet, but if they are in your area, I would definitely recommend you check them out. Through the link in the description field below, you can get $10 off your first box, which depending on how much you get, then your box could almost be free. And here's a little clip of some of the first boxes that I got. Hi guys, I'm over here in the kitchen and I'm very excited to report that my second Imperfect box just arrived. It was actually perfect timing too, because I was just getting dropped off from school when the delivery person was there. So again, we are doing the medium-sized box, mostly organic, but there's been a couple conventional items we added to our box. We have it set up for every other week. I want to show you what we got. All right, so first up, we have a bunch of organic kale. It looks in really good shape here. There's a few pieces that are ripped, so maybe that was why it couldn't be sold. I actually might make something with this tonight, like a kale Caesar salad. Now this is something I've never had before. We did get a grapefruit in our first one, but this is a pomelo, or I'm not actually sure how to say it, but apparently it's kind of like a grapefruit, but I've never tried it before, so I thought this was a good chance to try it. It's also so huge. So I got 4 sweet potatoes. These are actually really small. They're pretty cute, but they were probably a little too small to sell, but they look in great shape. They are organic as well. We also got a few little zucchini, so I might make something with this, like an Italian dish with these. We have a few more clementines here. This actually works really well. Jake enjoys them like sometimes, but not enough to buy a huge bag. Sometimes they might go bad. So I like that you can just get small quantities like the 6. Now this is something I also don't think I've actually ever cooked with tomatillos before, but I definitely wanted to give it a try. I know I've had some really delicious enchiladas in the past with a tomatillo sauce, as well as I think some salsas, so I definitely want to try my hand at cooking with it. Red onion, I think this one technically just with the shape was a little off, but I mean, still looks good to me. A couple red peppers, these are beautiful. A couple beautiful organic mangoes. This one already feels really nice and soft, so it might even be ready for tonight, which that would be a fun after school snack. 2 little avocados. The ones I got in last box were really good. They are organic as well. 2 more organic apples, 2 potatoes. I might make some homemade hash browns. And lastly, an organic pack of grape tomatoes. So overall, I'm just really excited to get cooking with a lot of this stuff. You also can fully customize your box, so if there's something that is automatically provided but you don't want or you don't think you'll use up, you can just remove that from the box. Likewise, you can add in additional items that they might have from other places. Of course, the assortment or supply varies just because certain weeks, certain items might not have been accepted to sell at grocery stores more than others, but we've definitely had a big mix of items so far. And you can check it out using the link in the description field if you would like $10 off your first selection. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you'd like to check out any other related videos, I will actually link them over here for you. And if you haven't already joined this amazing community here at Abundantly Minimal, I hope you'll consider subscribing up here. We'll see you guys next time. Bye.